Dennis Prager here. Thanks for listening to the Daily Dennis Prager Podcast. To hear the entire 3 hours of my radio show, commercial-free, every single day, become a member of Pragertopia. You'll also get access to 15 years' worth of archives, as well as the daily show prep. Subscribe at Pragertopia.com. Everybody, this is Dennis Prager. I am currently in Phoenix, Arizona, testifying before the Arizona State Senate on Arizona State University's professors' attempt to stop students from hearing me speak at Arizona State University. I consider it that important that I'm there, and I'm taking the day off, knowing I am in great hands with Carl Jackson, one of my favorite people in the world. Enjoy him.
All right. Thank you, Dennis, and welcome to the Dennis Prager Show. I am your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Dennis Prager. It's always an honor and a privilege to be able to sit in for Dennis, the wisest conservative on radio. Behind me, we have Gabe Cassiano at AM 950, The Answer, 94.9 FM. I have Sean McConnell that's in my ear. Alan Estrin, I want to thank you for allowing me to sit in once again. He is the producer of the program. Also, Dennis, obviously, and Sue, thank you so much. Who do we have on the lines there, Mr. McConnell? Leslie is on the lines. All right, so here's what I want to talk to you about today, and obviously I'll bring you the latest and the breaking news as well. As you heard Dennis say, he's off to testify in front of the Arizona legislature. Apparently there was, and it was on the tip sheet this morning, but both he and Charlie Kirk were set to speak at Arizona State University. He was censored, so was Charlie Kirk, meaning they did not want them to speak. I shouldn't say he was censored. He spoke. There was a lady that was fired as a result of that. So we'll get into some of the details of that. I'm sure Dennis has already gone over that, and obviously he would know much better than I. But I do want to talk about that a little bit in the context of this. I'm going to do something a little different today. And again, don't go anywhere. I'm going to make sure that I bring you the breaking news. The number to call into the program, 1-8-PRAGER, 776-18-PRAGER, 776. But I'm going to challenge you a little bit today. I'm going to do something that I think is out of the ordinary when it comes to the conservative movement, when it comes to Republicans. I'm going to do something that may not feel natural to you, but I think it is extremely important if we stand any chance of winning in 2024 and if we stand any chance of restoring the Constitution of the United States of America. And I do believe that we can do it. I just think that it's not going to be as easy as some would pretend. I think we're going to have to put a lot of work in order to win 2024. As bad as Joe Biden is, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I'm one, and I could be completely wrong, that believes that at some point in time, Gavin Newsom is going to step in. But even if he doesn't, even if the nominee is Joe Biden, I don't believe it's going to be a cakewalk despite what you see going on all around you. The left strategy, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, or perhaps a Ron DeSantis, if he gets the nomination, or another, the left strategy is to make you hate Trump or DeSantis even more than you would hate Biden. That's their strategy. Despite what he's done to the country, to destroy our economy, despite the lockdowns. You notice I'm not talking about any of that stuff. And I'm a little disappointed, to be frank with you, because I don't think there's enough conservatives that talk about the mandated jabs and the forced lockdowns that were imposed upon many of our fellow Americans. And I think that's something that we should never forget, because they want to do it again. As a matter of fact, I would argue that they're working, I know that they're working with the UN, the United States is, and I've done a podcast on it. Check out my podcast. Subscribe wherever you go to get your podcast. The Carl Jackson Show is where you go to subscribe. But I want to do something a little different. And again, I think this is a bit out of the ordinary, and perhaps you might feel a little uncomfortable with me saying this, because I am, let's face it, your favorite Christian conservative American that happens to be black. Be quiet, Sean. You don't have to say anything about that. All right, so there are 20 reasons to hate the Democrat Party. And I use that word intentionally. Carl, how can you use the word hate and call yourself a Christian? Well, we're supposed to hate evil, and I'm here to argue, or I contend, that the Democrat Party. Now, I want to be emphatically clear. I'm not a kiss behind when it comes to the Republican Party. I want you to understand that. I consider myself a Christian. I used to say conservative, but a constitutionalist or a constitutional restorationist, an American that happens to be black. And in that order, that's what I consider myself. It is very important, in my opinion, if you say you love the United States of America, then it's important that you hate the Democrat Party. I know that sounds harsh. I know that's not what you're going to hear on radio, probably anywhere else, but you are going to hear it here on the Dennis Prager Show. The Bible teaches us to hate what is evil and to cling to what is good. I believe the constitutional America, I believe that meritocracy, I believe those are good things. I believe those are biblical things. I think faith, obviously family, the rule of law, where there's no chaos, I believe those are good things. And I believe that the left are systematically trying to undermine the United States of America and destroy absolutely everything that we hold dear. So if you're going to be motivated to fight for America, I think you have to have an enemy. I think you have to have an enemy. And I know this isn't comfortable. I get it. I understand. This isn't who we are. This isn't how Republicans roll. This isn't how conservatives roll. This isn't how Christians roll. But you have to understand the fight. You have to understand who we're up against. We're not up against the Democrat Party. We're not up against liberals. As Dennis Prager often distinguishes between the liberal and the leftist. What is a leftist compared to a liberal? Well, a liberal doesn't want segregated dorms on college campuses. A leftist doesn't mind, right? A liberal may not believe that you can stick a needle in the back of a baby's head right when it comes out of its mother's womb. But a leftist, hey, the woman has a choice, women's choice. Never mind that lady is going to suffer or have complications in the future, having another child. Never mind that woman is going to be depressed. Never mind that woman one day, that radical feminist may end up in a hospital or in a nursing home all by her lonesome, dying and wishing there were children beside her to say, well done, good and faithful servant. Mom, I love you. You were amazing. But those women will be denied that opportunity because the radical leftists, the communists that have taken over the Democrat Party. I'm going to give you 20 reasons, again, to hate the Democrat Party. I know you guys have heard the breaking news, what the left is trying to do with Trump, and I want you to understand a lot of this stuff is going to come. It's always going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. This stuff is never going to cease. But yet again, the left is talking about arresting or indicting Donald Trump for yet a third time. We'll get into some of those details a little bit later. Suffice it to say, it'll happen to Ron DeSantis. It'll happen to any Republican that is a threat to the left. And frankly, I think the reason why it's happening to Donald Trump, it isn't just based upon policy, although that is part of it. I'd be lying to you if I said otherwise. So it is based on policy, but it's even more simple than that. We are dealing with the most corrupt presidency, I believe, ever in American history. And one thing that Donald Trump has that other candidates don't have is he's already seen some of the classified documents, right? He needed some of those documents for his own defense. So he already knows how the sausage was made. He already knows about the corruption. So I would argue that it isn't just about policy. And if you listen to most conservatives, it's just about policy. It's just about Trump. It isn't just about policy. It's about evil. It's about an evil presidency, a corrupt DOJ, a corrupt big tech working in cahoots with that evil president because they're all dirty. And there's somebody that knows it. Sometimes things are a lot more simple than you think. Sometimes things are a lot more simple even than conservatives pretend. I'll give you some reasons to hate the Democrat Party, and I'll start with number one, just listing the names, and I won't get through all of them, but we'll return after the break because I only got a few seconds left. But let's start with this, reasons to hate the Democrat Party. Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Senator Elizabeth Warren, all high cheekbones, AOC, Al Gore, John Kerry. I'll give you more reasons shortly. This is Carl Jackson in for Dennis Prager.
Until you use me up.
Gold dealers are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. What sets these companies apart, and whom can you really trust? This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion, my choice for buying precious metals. When you buy precious metals, it's imperative that you buy from a trustworthy and transparent dealer that protects your best interests. So many companies use gimmicks to take advantage of inexperienced gold and silver buyers. Be cautious of brokers offering free gold and silver or brokers that want to sell you overpriced collectible coins, claiming they appreciate more than gold and silver. What about hidden commissions and huge markups? Nick Grovich and his team at AmFed always have your back. I trust this man. That's why I mention him by name. Nick's been in this industry over 42 years, and he's proud of providing transparency and fair pricing to build trusted relationships. If you're interested in buying or selling, call Nick Grovich and his team at AmFed Coin and Bullion, 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
All right, welcome back to the Dennis Prager Show. Again, I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Dennis Prager. The number to call in, 1-8-PRAGER-776. I see some callers are already calling in. Don't go anywhere. I will get to you as quickly as possible. But I want you to understand that to hate the left is to love America. I want to say that again. To hate the left is to love America. Carl, that's so mean. That's so cruel. That's so hard-hearted. No. No, it's not. No, it's not. Do you appreciate everything that America has done for you, giving you a safe place to be able to raise your family, giving you opportunity to be able to raise your family, a military that's, honestly, they're woke now, we get that, but a military for the most part that has been able to protect the homeland and defend you, a place where you could create, it's getting a lot harder, but you could go and create a small business, get a little piece of the American pie, so to speak. A place that before the lockdowns, you could walk into any church building and learn about the love of Jesus Christ. Yeah, America's an amazing place. America's an amazing place. I shared some stats on Officer Tatum's show last week that I'll share with you. This whole idea that blacks are either incapable, and so we need affirmative action in order to succeed, or blacks are oppressed in America. I'll give you some unemployment or some employment numbers later. It's just totally bogus. Blacks are doing freaking amazing in the United States of America, despite all the whining and crying and moaning. It's absolute and utter nonsense. This is why another reason you should hate the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party, the leftists in the Democrat Party, they believe that skin color matters. They put it, or they prioritize it above so much. It's absolutely insane. Whereas the liberals in the party, hey man, color doesn't matter. This is a colorblind society. E pluribus unum, homie. That's the difference between the leftist and the liberal. And Dennis Prager speaks of this often, and he speaks of it beautifully. So I would encourage you to make sure that you check out all things Dennis Prager. The number to call in, 1-8-PRAGER-776. There's PragerTopia.com. From what I understand, you can even get Alan's show notes from that. So check out PragerTopia.com. DennisPrager.com. Check out his articles every Tuesday. They're posted on DennisPrager.com. And, of course, PragerU. Do not forget Do not forget, guys, if you have woke behind college-age students or even children, I want you, a couple of things that I want you to make sure they understand and they read, and that is the Bible, or watch even, or listen to, because you can listen to the Bible audibly. But I want you to make sure they listen to the Bible. I want you to make sure that they listen to PragerU videos. I don't say this lightly. I don't say this just to kiss behind. I really think they are so impactful. I listen to them. I watch them. I was watching one on the new Trail of Tears. I'll talk to you about that a little later. I'll tie that in to the story today. And again, I'll tie in some of the breaking news of the day. I'll give you some more headlines that I'll get into later. The FBI tipped off the Biden team, Secret Service about plan to interview Hunter. Agent tells Congress, key Hunter Biden witness poised to testify, but still lacks access to critical cache of evidence. Speaking of Devin Archer, so we'll talk about the corrupt DOJ that has been corrupted by Joe Biden. But let's get back to why the Democrat Party is so evil, and namely, it's just many of the people that reside within the Democrat Party. So this is only a 3-hour show, but I guess I better get past number one. But I do want to go back, and I do want to mention some of these names again. Barack Obama, this was a guy that should have brought healing, if you will, to the land. The first black president or biracial president that could have done wonders to unite the country, but he's a communist, and he decided to do the exact opposite. You look at Nancy Pelosi, who admittedly said that Biden didn't have the power to forgive student loan debt. She was correct, because the House of Representatives controls the purse, controls the money. But okay, when it was time, hey, whatever. Oh, we got to do whatever we got to do. Hooray to leftism, right? That's exactly how they roll. Of course, she's retired, and she's retired fat and happy. And I don't mean literally fat. I mean wealthy, because she was able to steal a lot of money. And she doesn't have to go to jail, because she and her husband got these amazing stock tips. I mean, 100% of the time, they were right on the money. So they are sitting fat and wealthy and happy. Even though her husband got clocked in the head, he'll be fine. He can afford any medical treatments absolutely necessary, because if you and I would have gotten stock tips early and profited off of that, we would have been in jail, but not Nancy Pelosi. Not Nancy Pelosi, a despicable human being, in my opinion, just as much as Obama. And then you got people like Bernie Sanders, the self-avowed socialist within the Democrat Party that always votes with the Democrat Party. It never seems to go off on his lonesome. You got Jimmy Carter, who is a smart man. I give him that. He is a smart man, and honestly, he's in his last days. If you've been paying attention to the news, but this is a very smart man. I thought was a liberal, but he praised, Barack Obama. He bashed Trump, and it isn't about bashing Trump, but I'm like, dude, a big policy difference, but he stunk as far as the presidency was concerned. His administration, they absolutely stunk. And I thought Biden, at first, I was like, Biden is the next Jimmy Carter. Biden is far worse than Jimmy Carter. And I said, and I've been saying, that Obama is the worst president ever, because he laid the foundation. Without him, there would be no Joe Biden. But I got to tell you, every single day, Joe Biden is tempting me to call him the worst president ever. And he may well be. He is definitely the most corrupt, in my opinion, probably the most evil. And I don't give him a pass simply because he has dementia. There are times where he's lucid. And I believe he understands what he's trying to do in that time, even though he might be forgetting it. You have, again, I mentioned Bernie Sanders. You have Hillary Clinton, the whole Russia collusion hoax, born from Hillary Clinton, just a nasty, despicable, disgusting woman that was willing to destroy the country, despite the fact that she and her husband, Bill Clinton, there's another one, were profiting off of, I forget the name of their organization. But they were profiting so much off of their organization, and then she loses to Trump in 2016. And all of a sudden, was it the Clinton Foundation, I believe? All of a sudden, the Clinton Foundation doesn't make that much money. So I can't stand these people. I hate these people. Listen, I pray that they get saved, right? I pray that they go to heaven. I pray all of that. But right now, the Clinton Foundation, thank you, Mr. McConnell. But I hope they get saved. I hope they change their ways. I hope they repent. But right now, I can't stand them. and they're part of the Democrat Party. I'm sorry, for those of you that believe the liberals run the Democrat Party, no, they kicked all of you to the curb. This message today is just as much for liberals in the Democrat Party than it is for the working apparatus, the leaders in the Democrat Party, if you will. My question to you is, what are you still doing with the Democrat Party? What are you still doing? If you hate Trump, that's fine. There's other candidates, there's other candidates in the race. But my question is to you is, what are you still doing in the Democrat Party? We'll be back with more. Carl Jackson in for Dennis Prager.
On MyPillow's 20-year anniversary with over 80 million MyPillow sold, Mike Lindell at MyPillow wants to thank each and every one of you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. You'll receive a queen-size MyPillow for $19.98. Regular price is $69.98 and just $10 more for a king size. You'll receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products, such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, My Slippers, and so much more. This is the time to try out some of their other amazing products you had your eyes on. Go to MyPillow.com and click on the radio/podcast square and use promo code Prager to receive this amazing offer on the queen-size MyPillow for $19.98 or call 800-761-6302. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. So go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code Prager or call 800-761-6302 today.
Welcome back to the Dennis Prager Show. The number to call in, 1-8-PRAGER-776, 1-8-PRAGER-776, or 1-877-243-7776. All right, I'll go to your call shortly. Let me just go through a few more names. I don't know why I'm belaboring this, but I just want you to hate some specific people, I guess. And again, to hate the left is to love America. And I want you to understand that the Democrat Party has been totally co-opted by the left. As much as the media wants you to hate Trump, I want you to understand the greatest threat, the greatest existential threat to the United States of America is the Democrat Party, bar none, case closed. Case closed. It is an evil party. It has always been an evil party. And again, this isn't a promo for the Republican Party, because God knows, Lord help us, they suck far too often. Excuse my French. But at least their views or their values are more closely aligned with biblical values and the Constitution. And for all of you that are out there and you pretend to claim the name of Jesus Christ and you vote for the Democrat Party, shame on you. Oh, Carl, but the Republicans are racist. No. There was never a big switch. All right? Stop lying to yourself. There was never a big switch. It did not happen. Out of 21 senators, one switched to the Republican Party. Republicans did not gain the House of Representatives until 1994. Republicans did not fight for civil rights and die and fight back against the Democrat KKK for 100 years to all of a sudden say, all right, we're done with that. I mean, you have to almost be an ignoramus to believe that, or just totally duped by the Democrat Party. To hate the left is to love America. What about Senator Warren? I'll get onto the new Trail of Tears a little later. What about old high cheekbones, Pocahontas? By the way, I wrote a column on this years ago called Pocahontas, and people started using it. Yes, I'm trying to steal credit for it because I heard big names start using Pocahontas after me. So maybe I'm not stealing credit for it. Maybe because I was a peon, they took the name and I didn't get the credit. So just in case, Sean, I'm just being safe here. Just in case I deserve credit. All right. AOC. Compton Carlotta, Cori Bush. What's the other lady that has had to walk back anti-Semitic statements or tropes just recently? It was on the tip sheet today. Representative Pramila Jayapal retracts statement where she claimed Israel is a racist state. See, the Democrat Party brings you the most hateful and the most disgusting people, and actually not that bright either. And these people determine where your money is spent, all the while lecturing to you about how bad you are. What about Al Gore, that has profited off the global warming hoax? The same is true with John Kerry, as he parades around in his wife's luxury liner or airliner, if you will, and says, oh, well, it's not mine. That's his excuse. All the while, he's telling you to cut back on your lifestyle so elites like him can have it good and feel good about himself because he's an elite. And you're a peon. You get it? What about, Pete Buttigieg? Pete Buttigieg. That was a horrible mayor in Indiana. The black community couldn't stand him. But yet, that's reason for promotion, if you ask the Democrat Party. What about Gavin Newsom? All right, we'll be back. Carl Jackson in for Prager. Oh, my Lord. I am telling you, you have got to subscribe to PragerU. You get the videos right to your phone. You can just click on and watch right then and there. They are amazing. I'm actually going to use notes from an older PragerU video that is absolutely amazing. This issue with the stolen land, this all derived from a court case. Perhaps I'll be able to get into that. But they're still doing, the government is still, in my opinion, the Indians, the Native Americans are still suffering some of the same atrocities, and that is thanks to big government. And it needs to stop, in my opinion. But I'll get into some of the horrors, and you'll be able to, you can check out the video for yourself, the New Trail of Tears. It's actually an old video by PragerU, but one of the things that I love about PragerU, and they're not paying me for this, I just love their ministry, and I really do believe it's a ministry. You go to PragerU on YouTube, you just type in a subject. It's insane. And then a video pops up for the most part. It is absolutely insane. And they pack so much in those videos. It's crazy. So make sure you check those out. Antoinette, Tom, Mark, don't go anywhere. I promise I will be getting to you shortly. Let me just go through some of these people that they've given us. The Democrat Party. These people that actually hate America. Gavin Newsom. California. Guys, I'm born and raised. Born and raised. I'm telling you, I went from when I first moved to Florida. People, where are you from? You have an accent, They were telling me I had an accent because I didn't sound country. So where are you from? You're a little different. Oh, man, L.A., you know what I mean? Wearing it loud and proud, throwing up gang signs on up there, just kidding a little bit. All right, but, I'm from Cali. And people, and I was happy to say it. I was proud to say it. Now, where are you from? California. It's not like it used to be. Even I feel different about California. And I'm telling you, it's not just me. Gavin Newsom has destroyed, and the Democrat Party has destroyed what I think was clearly the greatest state in all of the United States. Amazing. You could go anywhere in California, enjoy the beach, you could enjoy the mountains. I mean, it's just fascinating. The state is amazing. But the left is destroying it. They have destroyed it. Thank you, Gavin Newsom. Beto O'Rourke, I don't know why he uses a Spanish name. Talked about taking away your AR-15s, the squad in general. Some of the dumbest ladies, and I don't say this to be mean, we all know it, some of the dumbest ladies in the United States of America that are representing us and are representing their districts. It's a shame. AOC, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, these are some of the dumbest people in America that are representing us. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying it because it's true, and we all know it. Oh, Carl, it's just because they're black. You're a sellout. I don't care what you call me. You know I'm telling you the truth. Kamala Harris, you think that lady is bright? I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a degree like her. But I have to question how she got to where she got. Because that lady is not bright at all. It's amazing. Here's an audio clip. Sean and Rick retrieved this. Thank you, guys. This is the representative. What is her name again? I always forget it. Pramila Jayapal. Just a total and utter disgrace. I went through the tip sheet and I didn't read the story, all right? But I just read the summary. I thought this was subtle when she claimed Israel is a racist state. Oh, no, it's not subtle. Audio clip, por favor, Mr. McConnell.
We have been fighting to make it clear that Israel is a racist state, that the Palestinian people deserve self-determination and autonomy.
Our greatest ally in the Middle East, oh, they're a racist state. And then they have the nerve when some type of anti-Semitic shooting or anti-Jewish shooting occurs. Oh, it's because of Republicans. Oh, it's because of Trump. These people are sick. It's evil. To hate the left is to love America. And I'm telling you, if you want to save America, one of the first things you need to do to be inspired, you don't have to worry about Trump. Honestly, I think a lot of Republicans and conservatives take the wrong tack. The solution is Trump. The solution is DeSantis. I think it's deeper than that. First off, as a Christian, I always think the one solution is Jesus Christ and living biblical values. That is the ultimate solutions. So I reject the notion that Trump is the answer, DeSantis is the answer. And honestly, after the Bible, I go to the Constitution where it says we the people are the answer. So I reject that notion. But I realize that's where we are in our politics, and that's fine. That's fine. That isn't to say that God doesn't use Trump. That isn't to say that God hasn't used Trump and will again. That isn't to say he won't use DeSantis or Vivek. But don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. That really annoys the crap out of me, I'll be honest. Don't think God will use Trump because he's special. Don't think God will use DeSantis because he's special. That's not biblical at all. And frankly, I hear some conservatives saying it. That's not right. And that is not biblical. So stop saying that. Because you're going to get people all messed up on the Christian faith. God will use whom he will use when he decides to use them. And just be thankful for the people that he brings along. But once he's done with them, we start praying for other people. And then we remember the system that he gave us as well. We the people. Always remember that. How much time do we have, Sean? Okay. All right. 50 seconds. All right. I promise you, callers, I'll go to you after the break. Number 2, the estimated number, another reason you should hate the left. The estimated number of people killed in the Holocaust, 11 million. The estimated number of people who were killed in World War I, 37 million. The estimated number of babies who have been killed because of the Democrats' beloved Roe v. Wade that Republicans to this day are scared to defend, 60 million people killed. Oh, Republicans, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. We may lose an election. You're going to lose a freaking country. We'll be back.
Everybody, this is Dennis Prager. I am currently in Phoenix, Arizona, testifying before the Arizona State Senate on Arizona State University's professors' attempt to stop students from hearing me speak at Arizona State University. I consider it that important that I'm there and I'm taking the day off, knowing I am in great hands with Carl Jackson, one of my favorite people in the world. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Dennis, as you are one of my favorite people as well. It's an honor and a privilege to be sitting in for the great Dennis Prager. Man, honestly, it's just amazing. It's surreal to even be able to say that. To be honest with you, man, I'm just somebody in search and fighting for my American dream, and I've accomplished a lot of that. I want more, as some may say, and I'm so blessed and privileged to be honored to be able to live in the United States of America and get these opportunities, and to be able to sit behind Dennis Prager's microphone. For those of you that may not know or may not heard, first I started off in radio here at AM 950 The Answer, theanswerorlando.com. Plenty of great talent here. I'm going to forget all the names, but I started with the American Adversaries right here in Orlando, and then I branched off and I did my own show for quite some time with my co-host Mickey Alvarez, and also Aubrey Kahn, the only African American I know that happens to be white, as we would call him, and also my producer Tony Matos, who still works with me on the podcast. By the way, check out my podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. Subscribe wherever you go to get your podcast. And then later, at one point, I had or invited Dennis Prager onto my program here locally, and he thought I was good enough to be a national talent. And so Dennis Prager spotted that in me and gave me an opportunity and introduced me to Phil Boyce, and so here I am. So I am indebted to Dennis Prager in that sense. And the cool thing about Dennis is he is, for the longest, I couldn't stop calling him Mr. Prager, but he is so normal. It's fascinating. It's such, to be able to meet him in person and speak with him in person and realize this guy is not fake. He is completely the real deal. The same Dennis Prager that you hear on the radio every day is the Dennis Prager that you'll meet in person. And I would say probably even, if this is possible, better, because he's so kind and generous with his time. It amazes me. But anyway, so I just want to thank Dennis Prager for allowing me, and Sue as well. His wife is freaking amazing as well, and Dennis Prager is brilliant. His wife is brilliant. His wife is freaking brilliant. Let me just say that. And she's kind as well. So if you ever have the opportunity to be blessed to meet them, just amazing people. All right. Let me do this real quick because I want to go through some of these points relatively quickly. And by the way, at the top of the hour, we're going to have Steve Friend on. Steve Friend is one of the OG FBI whistleblowers. So I'm going to introduce you to him. He is the author as well of True Blue, my journey from beat cop to suspended FBI whistleblower. And we're going to dive into some of the latest news with Trump and some of the headlines that I have in front of me from Just the News tipped off. FBI tipped off the Biden team, Secret Service about plan. What can be done, if anything, to fix the FBI? I don't believe it's salvageable. We'll get Steve Friend on. I want to get his take on the matter. So stay tuned for that at the top of the hour. But let's do this. Let's go to Mark. Mark is in Oak Lawn, Illinois. Mark, welcome to the Dennis Prager Show. You've got the mic.
Hey, Carl, I really enjoy your show. You make some good points. You're very articulate, very impressive.
Thank you.
Got a couple questions for you. The first thing, I know that you called out a lot of those Democrats, and they are evil. There's no question about it. I mean, the things they stand for, they're trying to ruin our country, and I think, I'm a guy, I pray the rosary out at these abortion mills, and, I know life is sacred, and they don't have any respect for life. If you can't respect life, you can't respect yourself. But here's a question, though. The one thing that I'll call you out on, I think with some of these Republicans, you need to call out some of them by name also. Like, I look at George W. Bush, illegal war, 1 million people wiped out, Patriot Act. That's where all the spying first started. $10 trillion deficit. Put us in the hole. Dick Cheney, Halliburton. Some of these Republicans, they're sheep in wolf's clothing. Some of them are even worse than the Democrats.
Let me say this, Mark, and I appreciate the call. Actually, I've done that. I've done that on several occasions, as a matter of fact. I can't recall, but I believe I did an entire podcast on how George Bush's idea of compassionate conservatism was one of the dumbest and most dangerous things that I've ever heard. Now, I will say this. When I speak of these people that I'm speaking of in the Democrat Party, I'm speaking of, these are the type of people that the Democrat Party actually developed. Their chickens had come home to roost, in other words. All these years of socialist and communist teaching on our university campuses and instilling a lot of these teachers even on high school and junior high school and elementary campuses, this is what we're getting. But I would totally agree with you in this facet. I was totally disappointed, and I felt totally duped by George W. Bush. I've made that point loud and clear, even when it comes to Dick Cheney and the whole Halliburton thing. I will say this, there's only a couple of companies that you could use. Halliburton was one of them. So that's a company that all politicians use. Did they profit off of it? I believe so. So anyway, I will say that. And I'll say this. I've also done a show or shows on just how dangerous I think weak Republicans are. And how, in general, I believe that weak Republicans are just as complicit to the destruction of America as the left is. If you don't stand up and fight against the left, or if you don't even recognize that we're in a fight against the left, I think we're in serious trouble. Let me say this. There was a caller that I heard. I mentioned this on Officer Tatum's show. And then there was someone else that I met yesterday. There was a caller that was an ardent Trump supporter. They called into a very popular, another conservative radio show on a competitive station, if you will. And those guys are great. So I said guys, so I just gave them away. They're great. The caller called in, and basically the caller was going from, hey, I was a Trump supporter, but I'm scared of this. Hey, I was leaning towards DeSantis, if I recall the call correctly. But DeSantis is too much like Trump, and my husband won't vote for Trump. So now I'm thinking about this person and that, and because they were concerned about the narratives that the left is going to set. Guys, can I set your mind at ease? Because it wasn't the first time that I've heard this. Just yesterday, and I was shocked. I spoke to a woman that was, she was an ardent Trump supporter, where she was like, you couldn't critique the man without her, like a little chihuahua, just ready to bite you at the ankles. But she's so concerned about the narratives and everything that's happening to Trump. And now she switched to DeSantis, but now she's like, I don't think I want to vote for DeSantis, basically saying the same thing. Oh, and the arguments and the narrative that he banned books, I don't want to have to deal with that, and that he did this and that he did that. I'm like, listen, guys, let me just be emphatically clear. I'll be emphatically clear. There's only 4 people that I even like in the race, and that is Trump, DeSantis, that is Larry Elder, elderforpresident.com, Vivek Ramaswamy. I would like to see, and that is, I shouldn't say that because I don't hate the other people. I just don't think that they're right for this time. But there's only 2 people with executive experience that actually have a track record of doing great work for the American people. And that's Donald Trump, and that is Ron DeSantis. And I know a lot of, I'm Trump, I'm DeSantis. I don't care. I care about the country. I look at we the people, which one of you are going to do the most to make sure that I'm freer at the end of the day. So I want you guys to scrap. I want you guys to squab. I want you guys to bloody each other up. And I want you to tell me how you're going to make me more free. I'm concerned about elections. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to know what's going to happen going forward to make sure that when you get in, I'm freer next year than I am now. That's the argument for me. And frankly, that should be what everyone wants. If you really believe in the Constitution, if you really believe in we the people, and I question that oftentimes, frankly, with Republicans and conservatives too. Number 3, how much time do we have, Sean? Okay, number 3, the 4 worst presidents of the last 100 years have been Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Jimmy Carter, and Lyndon B. Johnson. These people have destroyed America, and I can even add one, but it's a little older, Woodrow Wilson. Now I believe that Joe Biden is the reincarnation of Woodrow Wilson. We'll be back with more. Carl Jackson in for Dennis Prager. All right, welcome back to the Dennis Prager Show. I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Dennis Prager. If you'd like to call into the program, you can do so. 1-8-PRAGER-776, 1-8-PRAGER-776. To hate the left is to love America and to love people. So I've added to it a little bit of an addendum there. All right, so 1-8-PRAGER-776, 1-877-243-7776. Hat tip Breitbart. Former President Trump announced Special Counsel Jack Smith told him on Sunday he is the target of the J6 investigation and that he must appear before the grand jury in 4 days. Trump said his appearance before the grand jury likely means he will be indicted in the probe. Now, if you guys have been reading Julie Kelly of AM Greatness, she's been keeping us abreast of all of this stuff. She has determined a long time ago that this was inevitable. This is what the left wanted. The DOJ, the FBI, in my opinion, are totally corrupted. I think they have to be busted up. Again, we'll talk to Steve Friend one of the OG FBI whistleblowers at the top of the next hour. So deranged Jack Smith, this according to Breitbart, the prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ sent a letter. Again, it was on Sunday night, starting, "I am the target." This is Trump writing. This is a quote from Trump. "I am the target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment." He posted this to his Truth Social account. This has been, this is more Trump, and I'm quoting, "This has been a never-ending fight since the day I came down the escalator in Trump Tower," quote unquote. He goes on to say, "Rather than looking at the cheaters, the weaponized DOJ and FBI target and harass those who can complain about the cheaters and the massive fraud that took place. These are all hoaxes and scams made up to stop me from fighting for the American people, but I will never stop," close quote. He goes on to say, "Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before or even close. This witch hunt is all about election interference and a complete and total political weaponization of law enforcement. It is a very sad and dark period for our nation." And he is absolutely correct. The only thing that I would add is that Biden is so corrupt and evil that I don't think it's just about election interference. I genuinely believe that Biden is so corrupt. We've seen what's happened with the cocaine gate and all this kind of stuff. Whoopsie daisy. Nobody knows who left a packet of cocaine in the most secure building in the entire world. Nobody knows who did it. These people are just corrupt. And they're gaslighting us 24/7. And Trump has had his hands on documents and perhaps still does. He knows the deal. They know that he can expose them. So yes, it's about elections because obviously the left wants to win. But I would say, I don't think Joe Biden is that bright. I think Joe Biden is evil. And I don't think Joe Biden wants people to know just how evil and corrupt the Biden crime family is. All right. Number to call in, 1-8-PRAGER-776, 1-8-PRAGER-776. I'll get back to the lines in just a moment. By the way, hat tip to the Federalists. I'll get to this shortly. There's more than 70 nonprofits that have called on Congress to pass Republicans' election integrity bill. Guys, I argue this. I don't want to harp on what I believe happened on the elections, but I will say this. If elections aren't free, none of our ideas matter. Doesn't matter who you put up, whether it's Trump, DeSantis, whether it's a Vivek, whether it's a Larry Elder, whether it's a Tim Scott. It does not matter. By the way, did you guys see Tim Scott over the weekend? Basically with that Tucker Carlson interview came out for amnesty. I mean, implied it anyway. Yeah, I love Tim Scott. I think he's a great senator. I think he should stay in the Senate. I will just say that right from the beginning. I will vote for any Republican, frankly, over what we have now. No doubt about it. But I am a Trump or DeSantis guy. That's the way that I feel. I would love to see Larry Elder. on the stage. Right now, you can help him out, elderforpresident.com. I think as opposed to all the people that love Tim Scott, listen, this is just me speaking. This is strictly Carl's opinion. But I think Larry Elder is everything that people think Tim Scott is. I think Tim Scott has a great story. I think Larry Elder actually has solutions. So help him get on the stage, elderforpresident.com. Vivek is a phenom. I mean, that guy, he is probably the best communicator that I think I have seen. Obviously, all I've watched are clips of Ronald Reagan. I wasn't into politics then, barely born. So all I've watched are clips of Ronald Reagan, but his communication skills are phenomenal. I haven't seen anyone that good. I would say Vivek is really good. I'll put it that way. He's really strong. However, I would prefer to see a Trump or DeSantis is what I would prefer to see because of some of the executive experience. But I would love to see Larry Elder on the stage. I'm not going to lie to you. I would love to see Vivek. I think Larry Elder would do the best job of arguing some of the ways in which the Democrat Party has absolutely destroyed the black community. And he actually has solutions to those too. So elderforpresident.com, help him out. 40,000 people need to donate for him to get on the stage. I'm not paid by the Larry Elder campaign. He's running a lean and mean machine. But I genuinely would love to see him on stage being able to debate. So anyway, number to call in, 1-8-PRAGER-776. Glenn, I'm coming to you soon. Let me just get through a few more of these. I've just read you the news, the breaking news that broke slightly earlier, that the left, again, are looking to indict Donald Trump for a third time. Jack Smith, the special counsel, who's corrupt as all get out. We are living in the craziest times, but you know what? You should feel honored and privileged that God wanted you to be alive for such a time as this. You just have to recognize who the enemy is. If you don't know who the enemy is, you can't defeat the enemy. And I'm telling you right now that the biggest enemy of the United States of America is the Democrat Party. I'm sorry. Mark Levin has a new book out. The Democrat Party Hates America. What a great title. I wish I had thought of it and took the time to write it. But it's true. The Democrat Party, they absolutely hate America. That isn't to say that all Democrats hate America. It isn't to say that all Republicans are great. But by and large, Republicans at least respect the Constitution. They respect free speech. We know Democrats don't do that. Number 5, one of the reasons to hate the Democrat Party, the Democrats Party, you guys might remember this. The Democrats in the audience back in 2012, do you guys remember that they booed God in 2012? They told us exactly where they wanted to go. And then they absolutely lied about it. Now trip off of this. This was in the tip sheet today, in the news today. Oh, I should have had it ready. Forgive me. I'm scrolling down. But the CCP is actually rewriting the Bible. And of course they are. Of course they're rewriting the Bible. Because they want Chinese people to understand that Xi Jinping is God. That the CCP, that is their God. Not the actual God of the Bible. That the God of the Bible honors people and wants to be able to forgive people so that people can live with him forever in heaven. Nope, not Xi Jinping. You better not cross the Chinese state. The Democrat Party feels the same way. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to the Dennis Prager Show. I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Dennis Prager. Guys, check out the Dennis and Julie podcast. Their latest one is Struggle with God. Secularism is the norm. Are you religious? They ask. Honoring Judeo-Christian values is disappearing. The repercussions of cut flower ethics are apparent. What has happened to the uniforms of religion, they ask. People are wearing crosses of the Star of David, but is it religious or is it a good luck charm? You can check out the latest Dennis and Julie podcast. I believe that dropped yesterday. It is entitled Struggle with God. So wherever you go to get your podcast, subscribe to the Dennis and Julie podcast. All right, let's do this real quick before I move on. Glenn has been waiting in Glendale, California. Glenn, welcome to the Dennis Prager Show. You've got the mic.
Yes, sir. So there's a question I've been asking a lot of conservatives, and at least in my opinion, I've yet to hear a coherent, rational, logical explanation for this. So I'll give you the example. This morning, the DOJ going after Trump with more charges. On our side of the aisle is typically, by the way, let me preface what I'm going to say is I coined a phrase, and the phrase that I coined is the right supports the blue. The left uses the blue. And so what I find that a lot of people on our side of the aisle that claim to be conservatives will in one breath talk about how America is turning into a police state, and in the very next breath they'll tell people like me to back the blue, to back the police. And so, hey, Glenn, I personally,
Glenn, let me respond because I know exactly what you're saying. And by the way, I've heard you call into another show. I don't believe that you're a Republican, but I'll answer. I'll answer anyway. You're talking about the difference between state and federal and local. There's obviously a breakdown between state and federal governments. It's really that simple. I appreciate the call, but I do believe that was a fake caller. I hate to say that. Of course, you back the blue on the local level because you want to have safe communities For God's sakes, this is amazing to me. I think that was a leftist running as a conservative, to be frank with you. All right. So anyway, but yeah, there's a big difference. Yeah, I'm going to back the blue, and at the same time, I could say that I don't want a out of control DOJ or FBI that are nowhere in the freaking Constitution. This should be simple. Obviously, that guy is a product of government schools. For God's sakes. Sorry. All right. Now, let's get back to the topic at hand. 20 reasons. And by the way, I got to give credit to townhall.com. This was actually a column, was written over 10 years ago, and all I did was just revamp it. I just revamped it a little bit. So I had to tip the town hall, a guy by the name of John Hawkins, who wrote it 10 years ago. But remember, the Democrats in the audience actually booed God. They told us where they were going. They may not have known this because a lot of Democrats are naive. But what are you going to do? Once you remove God from society, what do you replace him with? What do you replace him with? The Chinese are finding out exactly what happens, right? Brazil starting to find that out. I've already told. Number 5, the Democrats' party slogan in 1868. In 1868, what was the Democrats' party slogan? It was, "This is a white man's country. Let white men rule." But what the left will do is they'll have you to believe that at some point in time, there was a big switch. This is another reason I hate the Democrat Party. They will lie to their voters because, sadly, their voters emote, and their voters, many of them, are very naive. They get them all worked up and angry. They get women, Republicans want to take away your reproductive rights. First of all, fool, if you're killing your baby, you're not reproducing anything. But it's the language. And we sit there and we fall for it. But you're not reproducing anything, and you don't have a right, if you want to kill your baby, you don't have a right to tell me that I should help you fund it. Or you don't have a right to say, you know what, screw your values. You should adopt my values. No, screw you. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. It's why I hate the Democrat Party. One of the many reasons that I hate the Democrat Party. They lie about this stuff. The party of the KKK, the party that was against the Civil Rights Act in 1957 until it became politically expedient for LBJ in 1964. Both he and JFK voted against the 1957 Civil Rights Act when Dwight Eisenhower was president. Why did they do that? Because they're a freaking racist party. But they could no longer hang on to that anymore. We'll be back.
Everybody, this is Dennis Prager. I am currently in Phoenix, Arizona, testifying before the Arizona State Senate on Arizona State University's professors' attempt to stop students from hearing me speak at Arizona State University. I consider it that important that I'm there, and I'm taking the day off, knowing I am in great hands with Carl Jackson, one of my favorite people in the world. Enjoy him.
Thank you, Stu and Dennis Prager. Thank you, Alan Estrin, for allowing me to sit in again. Thank you, Sean McConnell, that's in my ear. Gabe Cassiano has my back right here at AM 950, The Answer, 94.9 FM, TheAnswerOrlando.com. Leslie is on the line, so thank you, Leslie, for handling the calls. Guys, you're going to love, I believe, my next guest here. And I'm speaking of Stephen Friend. He's the author of True Blue, My Journey from Beat Cop to Suspended FBI Whistleblower. Steve, welcome to the Dennis Prager Show.
Great to be with you, Carl.
Absolutely. Steve, I just got to tell people the truth. So I've been trying to get Steve on my podcast. I've had to cancel a couple of times. So I'm like, Steve, come on, Prager Show. So I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you. And I forgot all about the fact that you worked on the reservations. But before we go there, Steve, just real quickly, introduce yourself to the audience and just give us a little bit of your background because you are a former FBI whistleblower. Talk to us about how that came to pass.
Yeah, I joined the FBI in 2014, was with the Bureau just short of 9 years. During that time, like you said, worked on Indian reservations, eventually transferred to Florida to work on child pornography and trafficking. but was reassigned to work on January 6th in 2021 and became aware of the fact that the FBI is departing from its rules for managing those cases and using some very heavy-handed tactics to arrest people who had pledged to be cooperative. We were sending SWAT to their houses. So I voiced my concerns about that, and then the FBI facilitated my removal within 30 days of me coming forward with that, and had the opportunity to testify about it to Congress.
Unbelievable. You know what? I want to get your take on this now that since we have you on here, Steve. Are you familiar with the movie The Sound of Freedom with Jim Caviezel that's out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm grateful it's doing so well.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I believe if I recall correctly, they just surpassed $100 million, or they are projected to surpass $100 million. You know what it's like you've been in that, you've seen that world. Will you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and then that was really when the scales fell away from my eyes about the FBI. When I took the transfer to work those type of cases and was reassigned, sort of voluntold to work on January 6th, and told that those cases were no longer going to be a priority. They were going to be considered a local matter going forward. But I think anybody, regardless of where you fall in the political spectrum, wants to combat those who want to do harm to children. And I believe in that movie they really highlight the fact that it's unlike like drugs. You can only snort cocaine once, but a child who's being victimized, whether or not it's physically or through picture or video, every time that's viewed, that individual is re-victimized. And I think it's a very necessary function for law enforcement to take on.
So the human, I just want to be clear here, because there's some media personalities in mainstream media, particularly on the left there, Steve, that says this stuff is conspiracy theory when it comes to human child trafficking. Is that true? Is that a conspiracy theory? We really don't have an issue with human child trafficking here in the United States?
Absolutely not accurate. I can tell you firsthand that I saw and worked cases where that was involved. And I'm a little bit concerned about anybody who wants to put the QAnon conspiracy label on that. I think at the end of it all, being anti child trafficking kind of makes you a pro pedophile. And the fact that a movie production company with a Christian, outwardly outspoken Christian lead has succeeded here, I think is the grounds that they're leaning on to try to sort of suppress that movie from doing well. But fortunately, it's broken through and gotten into the public sphere.
All right, I'm speaking to FBI whistleblower Stephen Friend. Go out and get his book, True Blue, My Journey from Beat Cop to Suspended FBI Whistleblower, a true patriot and hero, in my opinion. Steve, I had forgotten that you had worked on Indian reservations. I don't know how, but I did. So anyway, I'm glad that you made mention of that. I was watching a PragerU video, and just thinking of the damage that in this PragerU video, just taking notes, how poverty on these Indian reservations, there's the highest rate of poverty than any racial group. Alcoholism is more common among Indian youth than any other ethnic group. Child abuse is, twice as high on these reservations. And then part of the problem is big government has always been there. The Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Bureau of Indian Education, they control virtually everything: education, economic development, tribal courts, road maintenance, agriculture, social services. There's no incentive to do anything for yourself because the federal government controls virtually everything, including land trusts. So they can't even sell their own land because the federal government's view is, I guess, they're too dumb to do it, or to go after the resources and be able to sell their resources to make a decent living. But I want to get your perspective on Indian reservations right here in the USA.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most marginalized groups of people. It's a perfect exhibit of why you teach a man to fish and don't give a man to fish. And as a result of the system that's been set up on those areas, folks are incentivized to just stay put and get just enough to subsist. And as a result of that, we've now seen multiple generations of alcoholism, drug abuse, Talk about child sexual abuse. That is absolutely rampant, violent crime. And we don't even, despite the intended benevolence of the federal government, we don't even equip many of these reservations with the necessary resources from a law enforcement standpoint. So you have people who are charged on a tribal reservation with egregious crimes. Like I've seen folks charged with rape and getting sentenced to 40 days in jail.
What? Oh, all right. Wow. All right. I did not expect to hear that. There's so much I want to get to. Wow. I did not expect to hear that. That throws me off big time. And that's strictly because they live on the reservation. That's not something that they would, not a sentence I would expect they would get otherwise.
No, it pertains to the tribal court system, and they have their own set of laws, essentially sovereign territory.
Wow. Okay. All right. Let's move on. I hate to move on so abruptly here, but I do want to get your take on the breaking news today. President Trump is yet to be, sounds like he's going to be indicted for a third time with this special counsel. Do you have an opinion on that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just yet another example of this dual system of justice that we're seeing, where there's just been a weaponized system that's going after the chief political rival for the occupant of the White House right now. And I don't think you have to do tremendous amounts of acrobatics mentally to come up with that conclusion. I mean, you can charge a man with a crime that he's committed, but I believe Donald Trump was on camera making a speech. I don't think he was in any way, shape, or involved in actually walking into the Capitol. So any sort of insinuation of that fact is a huge leap.
There's a headline here, and I'm going to read some of this from you for you, Steve, and then I want to get your take on it. This from Just the News. The FBI tipped off Biden's team, Secret Service, about plan to interview Hunter. Agent tells Congress. I'd also love to get your take on Cocaine Gate shortly here. But a recently retired FBI supervisory agent told Congress behind closed doors that the Bureau tipped off Joe Biden's team and the Secret Service in late 2020 about a plan to interview Hunter Biden in his criminal tax probe, corroborating allegations from two IRS whistleblowers. The FBI agent who worked alongside the IRS whistleblowers on the Hunter Biden case when he was assigned to the Wilmington field office gave his account in a transcribed interview before the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, providing fresh evidence of alleged political interference in the treatment of Joe Biden's son. I mean, what do you, when you were in the FBI, Steve, did you guys hear about any of this stuff? What do you think of the FBI today? I totally do not trust the FBI. I don't want to feel that way, but I don't believe they can be saved. What's your take? We have 30 seconds, and then I want to bring you back for a segment, if you would, Steve.
Yeah, I'll just comment on this Hunter Biden protection that was done. It seems to me that the senior executives in the FBI ran cover for the president-elect's son. And if you want to compare that to January 6th or the Mar-a-Lago raid, that's obstruction of an official proceeding by letter of the law that the DOJ is using. And I've been reliably informed by the DOJ that should make them insurrectionists, the senior executives at the FBI, and they should probably be held in a gulag.
Wow. All right, I'm speaking to Stephen Friend. He's going to stay with us for another segment. Go out and get his book, True Blue. We'll be back.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
All right, welcome back to the Dennis Prager Show. I'm your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Dennis Prager. And I'm joined here with my guest, Stephen Friend. Stephen Friend is a former FBI whistleblower. Our guest would maybe consider him a current whistleblower. But anyway, go out and get his book. The title is True Blue, My Journey from Beat Cop to Suspended FBI Whistleblower. This guy, in my opinion, is a true hero, and he does not hold back. Like Kyle Seraphin. Kyle Seraphin is another one that I've been fortunate to interview. Man, we have some really good guys that do believe in the rule of law, and we're great agents. But unfortunately, the system, in my opinion, has been corrupted. Let me ask you this, Steve. And again, go out and get the books, True Blue. But let me ask you this, Steve. I'm looking here at an article. This is from Daily Caller, and you dispute that Ray's testimony, Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI, his testimony on these school board on the school boards, whether or not parents were being surveilled. Christopher Wray, he says no. What do you say?
That was one of two lies that I actually noted that he told during his testimony. He lied about the school boards, which I actually was assigned to surveilling parents at those school board meetings. And he also lied about agents being reassigned from working on child pornography to January 6th. So both those happened to me personally, and I think it was pretty telling that the fact that he doesn't think that there's going to be any accountability for him going in there and spewing that nonsense.
Steve, is there any way possible that Christopher Wray would be naive about this stuff or not know any of this? Is that even possible, in your opinion?
Oh, I've been so publicly and outspoken about that. I don't believe that. But then again, the man says that everything is going just fine, despite the fact that there's record low approval numbers for the FBI underneath his leadership. And he says that the fact that they have a high number of applicants for jobs should be the reason that he has a stamp of approval from Congress. But I've compared that to Carl owns Carl's Jr. and half his customers are getting food poisoning. But he says I got a record number of people that want to be waiters here. And then therefore I'm not really accountable.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. Do you believe that the institution, that the FBI can be saved? Is it worth saving, in your opinion? I've heard ways in which it could be, modified or saved, move them out of Washington, D.C., so on, et cetera. But I just feel like they're just too big and corrupted. Steve, am I wrong?
I think you're completely accurate about that. I think that the brand is too tarnished at this point. It needs to go away. However, I think that there's going to be problems from within the whole of Congress and actually pulling the trigger on that. But I've proffered the potentially bold solution of eliminating all the guns from the FBI, make it a Bureau of Unarmed Investigations, and force it through the appropriations process to partner with local law enforcement and get their approval to open up an investigation and even to make an arrest. So there could be a final stopgap measure if the FBI wants to put a case on Carl Jackson, then they're going to be forced to go to your local sheriff, and that sheriff can put the kibosh on that.
Wow. Steve, that's not prophetic, right? There's nothing on me.
Probably more likely me than you, sir.
Anyway, I'm speaking to Steve Friend. He's my guest. Go out and get the book, True Blue, My Journey from Beat Cop to Suspended FBI Whistleblower. All right, so you don't believe – you said Congress – you said something there that this is something that you don't believe Congress would take on. I don't recall exactly what you said, but hopefully you know what I'm asking here.
Yeah, I don't think that they want to be labeled, especially the Republicans, as a defund the police. But and I think you see the Appropriations Committee even met a few days ago, and 16 Republicans voted to give the FBI a brand new headquarters building. And this new headquarters is going to be double the size of the Pentagon. And I don't think that those Republicans are doing the will of the people that put them in office. And I think it's just because they lack the intestinal fortitude to take the mainstream media's attacks and being labeled as being a defund the police person. But they can remessage and say, look, we're empowering local law enforcement. We're going to disarm the FBI. And that way it doesn't matter who is the occupant at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He will be unable to weaponize the DOJ against his political rivals. We'll just defang the institution entirely, and therefore nobody has to be fearful that they're going to be persecuted.
Is there any merit to shutting the FBI down completely and maybe some of the good guys that exist go into the Marshal Service? Do you believe there's merit to that argument?
Yeah, I think that if you made me king for a day or maybe the FBI director, I would shutter it entirely and give those who are there who are experienced and actually accomplished investigators the opportunity to laterally transfer over to the Marshal Service. But I think there's a lot of duplication within the FBI. I mean, I don't know why you have agents working drug cases when we have a DEA. But at the same time, there's tremendous duplication at all levels of the government. It needs to be completely audited. And I think that the FBI has been so tarnished at this point. The days are not long before a case is going to be brought in a red area, and all the members of the jury will automatically acquit, regardless of the information, the evidence presented before them, because they're going to assume that the FBI invented that case.
Man, that's such a good point. That's what. Oh man, the damage that some of these corrupt people are doing to these institutions is absolutely saddening to me. Here's another headline that I want to get your take on before we only have a short period of time left here, Steve. But a key Hunter Biden witness poised to testify but still lacks access to critical cache of evidence. And this is Devin Archer. So in his heyday as a Democratic trailblazer, Devin Archer worked alongside Hunter in the pursuit of global deals, including inside China and Ukraine's Burisma Holdings energy firm. In other words, Devin Archer has all of the dirt, but he, for some reason, the FBI isn't allowing him to have the evidence that's afforded to him for his defense. This is absolutely insane. And I want to get your take on Cocaine Gate here, Steve.
Yeah, I think the FBI has shown that it's not hesitant to hold back evidence. It's been proven to be done in many of these January 6th cases. They're not furnishing over the subpoena documents over to Jim Jordan's Judiciary Committee. Because they don't believe they're going to be held accountable, and at the same time, with the whole, we're going to close this cocaine investigation on Hunter Biden. I mean, nobody who has a functional prefrontal cortex believes that there's not surveillance footage of it. But the fact that they're willing to just sort of brush it under the rug here indicates to me that the FBI and DOJ and anybody who's responsible for security and any investigative role in that area is not to be taken seriously at this point.
Guys, listen, just go out and get the book. Stephen Friend, he's the author of True Blue, My Journey from Beat Cop to Suspended FBI Whistleblower. The foreword is by Miranda Devine of the New York Post, so make sure you check that out. Only 30 seconds left here, Steve. Why should people buy the book? And quickly, why did you become an FBI whistleblower? Why was that important for you?
It was important for me because I swore an oath, and I believed that it was incumbent on me to come forward because I think that the FBI has off the rails, and my training and experience taught me that was what I was supposed to do. And I would encourage everybody to get a copy of the book because the FBI wanted most of it redacted, and I refused to do that. So you're going to get the full, unvarnished truth.
All right. Love it. Thank you, Steve. God bless you, man.
Thanks.
I don't think you realize what a little love.
Welcome back to the Dennis Prager Show. Your guest host, Carl Jackson, sitting in for Dennis. Hey, by the way, guys, listen, the reason why I had Steve Friend on, besides the fact that he could speak with credibility on these issues because he was actually in the FBI and he turned whistleblower, I believe, right at the beginning of this year. But there are some brave guys out there. First off, it's just warming to know that there are some good guys. There's some good guys out there. They really want justice. They really want the rule of law. But Steve Friend is courageous for doing it. Kyle Seraphin, the same way. So please go out and get his book. You can also find him on Twitter at @RealSteveFriend. These guys have given up a great paycheck. They've given up great benefits because they have a conscience, because they're moral and good and decent men. So please go out and get Steve's book. I really pray that you do. And again, it's True Blue. Basically, his job now, as he's said, it's dunking on the FBI, and hopefully by doing so, will restore the rule of law in this nation when the corrupt FBI and the DOJ are absolutely exposed. And they're exposing themselves, I think, even with Trump going after him. They're not prosecuting the guy. They are persecuting the guy. And they're trying to send a message as well to anyone. They would do this to anyone that they were fearful of. But I think Trump has dirt on them as well. And they're going after him big time. But go out and get Steve Friend's book. Again, the title is True Blue. I want to make sure this guy has given up a pension. This guy has given up his job. If you want to know the ins and outs of the FBI and the corruption that he saw firsthand, True Blue is the name of the book. My journey from beat cop to suspended FBI whistleblower. So I really do appreciate heroes like him, frankly, that are out there and that are willing to stand up. All right, guys, I'm going to ask you to do something. We'll get back to reasons why you should hate the Democrat Party. But I'm going to give you another number. This is not for this show, but I want you to call your congressman. I want you to be involved in the process. If elections aren't free, then nothing matters, all right? So we got to make sure that we're part of that fight. We've got to make sure that we stick to our congressmen like white on rice when it comes to election integrity, regardless of how you feel about 2020. I believe that Democrats cannot win. I really believe that. Unless Democrats cheat or they lie. They can't tell you the truth about the economy. I mean, I did a podcast on Bidenomics, the absolute lies on that, thanks to Stephen Moore. Just all types of lies. He created 13 million new jobs. No, people are returning to the workforce, all right, from COVID. 2/3 of, he says the economy is strong. 66% of Americans disagree with him. He claims that gas prices are down from $5 a gallon from when he took office. Absolute lie. But the truth is, they want you to believe what the government says. I was paying $1.87 at the time. These people just lie. They say that consumer spending is up under Biden, so that's a reason why we can look at the economy and say, oh, we're okay. But the truth is, consumer spending is only up because people are having to use their credit cards to pay their bills. That's what they're counting as consumer spending. It's absolutely nonsense. You've got a hidden tax of more rules and regulations during the Trump era. He says he says there were more regulations and stuff during. It's just a lie. Trump cut regulatory had so many regulatory cuts that families benefited at the rate of or about the amount of $5,000 per year. It felt like you got a raise of $5,000. With Biden, it's about $2,000. The nation's debt and annual deficit spending is down. He lied about, under his economy, and that's just not true. He spent $6 trillion since he's been in office. The guy's just a liar. They just lie. And sadly, what they do is they keep telling lies until their followers, till their voters believe it, and they get their voters so emotionally wrapped up into the arguments that they never sit back and stop and think, wait, is this true? We've seen major economic growth under Biden is another one. But over the past 5 quarters, we've only experienced 1% growth. Those are Obama days. The guy just lies. That's all they do. Callers, I'll get to you in a second. Here's a number I want you to call, 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. Guys, this is our government. You know what? I love Trump. I love DeSantis. But I don't expect them. I don't. That's not our Constitution. I don't expect them to come in and be our saviors. That is our job. That is our job. That's our Constitution. And frankly, the fact that we're so dependent on a Trump is an indictment, not just on the left. If I'm being honest, and I am, it's an indictment on us. How did we let this system get so big and bloated? What are we doing? People don't want to hear that, but we need to hear it. The Federalists, more than 70 nonprofits call on Congress to pass Republicans' election integrity bill. This is something that we can all be a part of. 202-224-3121. Tell your congressman they need to be a part of this bill. It's a coalition of more than 70 conservatives, nonprofits anyway, that sent a letter to House leaders on Wednesday urging the House to pass recently introduced legislation that seeks to strengthen the integrity of U.S. elections. In Florida, we have, under DeSantis, passed some of the toughest laws. Republican states have done it. I don't think any as tough as Governor DeSantis have. Thank God. You need to encourage your governor in your state legislature to make sure that their laws are tough. Now, I think we can get even better out here because I want paper ballots. The undersigned nonprofit organizations and policy leaders wrote in strong support of the free speech and citizen privacy provisions in what's called the American Confidence in Elections Act. American Confidence in Elections Act. H.R. 4563 was introduced by Congressman Brian Steele. The letter reads, this thoughtful legislation protects and strengthens important First Amendment rights that Americans have enjoyed since the founding of our country, close quote. I'm going to tell you what the Biden administration is up to try to win 2024 and how you can fight back. 202-224-3121. Call your congressman.
Dennis Prager here. Thanks for listening to the Daily Dennis Prager Podcast. To hear the entire 3 hours of my radio show, commercial-free, every single day, become a member of Pragertopia. You'll also get access to 15 years' worth of archives, as well as the daily show prep. Subscribe at Pragertopia.com.